Is there, are you able to go to the next picture?
Just let me know when you step up.
Yeah, go to the next one. Yeah, okay.
Show that picture.
That's the picture for everyone to look at. That was taken obviously before today and all of the snow. So we first approached a member of council back in 2021 regarding this space with our request for improvements. And after a couple of years of going back and forth with the hope that the city would make improvements, we were informed in 2023 of the Carey project that would include improvements to this space. So we held off any further requests to see what the Carey project would offer. Unfortunately, almost 3 years later, we are aware the city does not have improvements to this space on the southern side of the boulevard in the next 5-year budget. We have already seen this space neglected for over 10 years, which brings us to today with this request. The proposed improvements are intended to benefit the greater Armstrong community as a whole, including local businesses, residents, and visitors. By enhancing this space, we aim to create a welcoming sticky point that encourages people to slow down, to stop, and enjoy the historic downtown area. This will become even more important as our North Okanagan Shuswap Rail Trail continues to develop and bring more visitors to our community. Our request is for matching funding support and approval for the following landscaping work and improvements. The work would include tree removal, bench installation, a cement pad installation for a bike repair station that we currently own, a bike rack that the city has earmarked for this space years ago, utility hookup and oversight, and minimal maintenance. The work costs for this project are estimated to be under $10,000, and Monashee Outdoors is willing to partner with the city to share in this cost. A landscaping design blueprint has been created by a local Armstrong business named Appalachian Designs, owned by Troy Sievert, who's provided an estimate that has significantly been reduced in support of seeing this project become a reality for the community. Due in part to other project commitments, we are requesting approval for work to begin early April, weather permitting. As the business located directly in front of this space, we receive near daily comments from customers who ask why the area appears so empty and lacking landscaping, particularly at such a prominent intersection in the city. Many express concern about the condition of the space and the trees. Unfortunately, we feel this sometimes gives passerbys the impression that the businesses nearby are similarly neglected, which can negatively impact perceptions of our storefront and potentially impact business activity overall. So in closing, the benefits of beautification would enhance curb appeal, strengthen the visitor experience, and encourage more people to spend time in this part of downtown Armstrong, benefiting the entire community. And as an aside, as you might know, we were recently contacted by the CBC documentary series, Still Standing, which features small towns across Canada. The show is interested in featuring Armstrong, which with potential filming planned in April. So beautifying this prominent downtown space would positively showcase our community and demonstrate the care and pride that we have for our town. And Ryan will now go through the details of the project and then answer any questions that you might have.
Next picture, please, Chantal. So, no, the nice one. That's it.
There.
Yeah.
Boom, done.
Still have the ugly train there, but that's
Yeah.
okay. So this is a AI generated image of basically what we have planned with a bubbling rock feature with lights. And we would also have there's a bench there already on the corner of the sidewalk, and we would have that relocated into kind of the center so the person could gaze upon Mount Royal Swanson. We would have drought resistant landscaping. The bike repair station, which we purchased in 2021, as Lisa mentioned, to the tune of about $1,600. And everyone's familiar with what a bike repair station is. Yeah. And that would be off to the right on the picture, and the bike rack is also in the city's possession in the yard, I believe. Hopefully it's still there. So we're also looking at removing the trees. You see the one nice tree that's in there. The existing ones are definitely diseased and falling apart. This afternoon when I went to remove snow, there's about 12 pieces of branches and stuff. And there's a couple big ones kind of hung up. So we're looking at removing those old trees, the box elders. They're a bit of a liability for passerbys. And the estimated length of the project is to be 2 days and will require one lane closure for periods of time. So they're requesting city manpower for utility hookup for the water and lights, so electric power. And then to pour cement for the bike repair station and the bike rack and the bench relocation, they all would all require a cement pad. Obviously, the tree removal would prefer the city to do it, but Appalachian can do that as well. And flagging and the street blocking during the work completion. And ongoing minimal maintenance, which may be just like blowing out the water supply at the end of the season to prevent freezing. And we're hoping for partial or in full funding for the project. Monashi Outdoors, being Lisa and myself, we will provide the project creation and oversight. We're providing the bike repair station, the cost of the water feature lighting, and partial or in full funding if the city isn't able to provide. And we're partnering with Appalachian Designs, who's greatly decreasing the cost due to support of this project and the vision behind it. So we are requesting project approval and funding for work to begin in early April, weather permitting. And this also needs to align with Appalachian Designs schedule, of course. Thank you for your consideration. Are there any questions for us?
Thanks, Ryan and Lisa. Appreciate that. It looks like you've put some great thought into that. I'll just open up the floor to council for comments and questions.
Thank you. Thank you, for being so persistent. It's only been that long. It seems
Yeah.
like it's been 10, I think in my notes I put down, it's been going on for about 10 years now. So yeah, I guess it's a good thing that you spoke first. I know that you've come to council before and I don't know if you've been to council, but definitely sent a letter with a plan and it didn't go forward. The thing is that that corner is exactly what you say it is. It's kind of the centerpiece in town. Everybody that's going anywhere in town, especially on the way out, is going to go past there and walking and whatnot. And even with what Communities in Bloom does with the flower beds along the other end, that one has only had the bench from Rotary and the big flower pot that will be mine if you don't want to keep it there or come
Well,
back
and
to me.
we would like that to stay, actually.
Sure you
We-
would.
We quite like it. Yes.
And I'll
We
keep
do
looking
appreciate the
after it.
donation. sure.
Yes.
But unfortunately, what it does is offer an even greater contrast to the void in that space. You know, you see this beautiful flower pot and then this just, we call it the dirt patch because everyone calls it the dirt patch.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we appreciate the flower pot.
So in all fairness, I do understand that council will have to talk about this and staff would definitely be involved in it as well. But I think what you're mostly asking for is the ability to do something on that corner, much like our volunteers do, but with something more permanent that would last there forever. You're right, that tree needs to come out. It's been needing to come out for a long time, but there wasn't anything to put back in there if, you know, and whether it would be the same kind of tree or not would be very unlikely, but there definitely are better choices nowadays for streetscaping. So I hope somehow or other this can go forward. I don't know. I have nothing to do with staff time and how busy they are right now, but if there is an okay to move forward on it somehow, we'll definitely get our group together and maybe even try and have some fundraiser or something to help go towards it. So that's just my say. I mean, if it was just for me, yeah, go. But I know that there's a lot of other people involved in the decision. So thank you for
Thank
your
you.
persistence.
Thank you.
Councillor Velster.
Thank you very much. Well, I appreciate you guys coming in and giving everyone the spiel. My one question is, I know you guys are aiming for April. Now, municipal gears grind real slow, as Councillor Todd likes to say as often as possible. And need, remember you guys mentioning to me what, you guys have an anniversary in June, right? What was the anniversary for? The
It's a
business?
10-year anniversary.
10-year anniversary for the
That's correct.
business. That's right. That's right. Okay. I remember that there was an anniversary in June that was super important for this as well. And then the other piece of it is like the costs that you guys are bringing forward are very competitive. And that's obviously because Troy's trying to do you guys a solid here. And it obviously works with his schedule too. So things that I just wanted to point out.
Yeah, thank you.
Counselor Nietzsche.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. First of all, I just want to thank you guys for your presentation. It's lovely to see a collaborative approach and a proactive approach to this. So and apologies for the delay that has taken. I know you guys have been persistent about this for quite some time. I love the design. I love the idea. I think that that corner in particularly, and I'll just harken back to 2010 when we hosted the TSN event downtown. It was selected, that corner, particularly the old Matt Hassan building, was selected as sort of the optimum spot to showcase Armstrong from. So I think that this really visually enhances that corner as well. So I agree with Councillor Fowler. I think we do need to refer this back to staff for their comment, and then then have it back to council for us to review. So my preference would be to refer back to staff for their comment and in consideration, and then take that back up at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Todd.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to thank you for your commitment and fighting the good fight. I'm just wondering, we're talking later on today about wayfinding signs and things like that. Would it be amiable having one of our brand new signs up that says downtown, historic downtown or something like that, if that was where they decide to place it?
Yeah.
Something like that?
We wouldn't be against it for sure.
If it doesn't block our whole storefront.
No, it wouldn't do that at all. It's just, but it would add to it, I would think, perhaps,
100%.
bring some eyes to the side.
I think that would be a good idea.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Counselor Weiner.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for the effort you guys put into this presentation and obviously the persistence, but it's helpful for me to see all, I'm detail oriented and I like to see all that, the thought that went into that. And it was really helpful for me. And I look forward to seeing what staff bring back.
Thank you.
Counselor Drapala.
Thank you. I won't repeat what everyone else says. I agree with them. I like the approach. I'm really hopeful that we can be collaborative on a solution here. And I think it would fit well with the Kerry project on the north side to kind of bring it all together with an entrance to the one-way street there. So thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you.
And Counselor Fowler.
I did have one more question. When you look at that picture, I mean, picture says 1,000 words or however that goes.
Yeah.
Did you cost the mural that's in the background?
Yeah, that's funny that came up in the AI picture. Really knows our town. Yeah, and of course that picture won't be exactly, exact. There will be, we were thinking a little bit of a wall to be built, not a wall per se, but just a barrier between the landscaping and the water feature. So for that, you can see how it just circles around the landscaping, but that to be up a little bit higher, which would just prevent a little, I think, discourage people from walking into the landscape area.
And keeping the fill from spilling out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this was in there or not about, do you have it, water smart plants and things like that? Is that part of the plan as well?
Yep. Yeah,
okay.
drought resistant.
So I imagine now we would put together a motion to send this back to staff? No? We
It'll
don't
just
need that?
be, staff are aware of it and they will report back to.
Automatic. All right.
All right. Any further questions? No? Yes, please, Counselor Fowler.
And, I know I'm gonna not be popular when I say this, but it sounds like that they would like to get at it pretty soon. And I know that we probably don't work that fast, but I'm sure that we would do it as quick, have a look at it as quick as we could. A decision?
If I may interject, what would be super ideal is if we actually had it done before they come to do the filming, which is the 2nd or first or second week of April. And Troy said he could probably work that into schedule. And I know that doesn't work with the council schedule.
Unfortunately, there's too many things that go on in the background that we could provide an answer for that right now.
Right. Yeah.
I think you're finding some support amongst all of council here on the
Yeah.
beautification, but we have to get staff reports back regarding if, where the water is coming from, where the electrical is coming from, what their current schedule is. There's a bunch of things that go on as opposed to just looking at one piece of a project. So
Sure.
we'll have to wait till we hear back from our staff.
Yeah.
All right.
And okay, and so whoever's communicating to the city staff about this, like if there's a way to communicate that we want to simplify the process as much as possible so that it takes as much off of their plate as possible, then we're willing to do that. So if we need to liaise with other contractors or, some non-city staff, we just don't want this project to get denied or delayed for too long because the city doesn't have time for it. Because we know the city has lots of other projects on the go. So whatever we've laid out for you today, if it needs to be simplified further to make this happen, then just, let us know if we can provide you anything that way. We just want it to be communicated that way to the city, to be simplified as much as possible.
Great. And yeah, we've got that under advisement. All our staff that will be involved in the decision are sitting in the room right now, so they're aware. And,
Oh, excellent.
and with that, unless you had anything further, we aren't able to provide you with an answer tonight, but I think you've got everybody's attention.
Yeah, thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys. Appreciate it. All right, we're moving on to 5.1, the Royal Canadian Legion request, and Mr. Seibel has a report for us.
Thank you, Worship. Similar to the presentation that's just received, this is a follow-up report to the presentation that came back in January to Council with respect to a couple of specific requests. The report itself is based on sort of our current practices, current policies, a recent example in terms of how the recommended resolution was arrived. Recognizing that there may be some desire to try and move things forward. There were some options or alternative options put forward for discussion for council, depending on how you wanted to move forward. So this is simply back in front of council to have that conversation, to be able to ask any questions of staff as we put this together from that request that came forward back in January. So we are at your pleasure.
All right, since there are so many different ideas to go down here, I'm going to open the floor to council for discussion on this. Councillor Nietzsche, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Just to bring the issue forward for discussion, I would move a recommendation from staff as recommended in the report.
All right, so there is a motion. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Fowler, and now we'll open the floor for discussion. Anybody got anything?
Well, I don't really have a lot about the report. Thank you for bringing this forward, but I'm sure this isn't what the Legion had wanted since they had requested it, but there was a lot of things that came into the request that didn't work out too good, and most of all, the Kerry project and the timing. So I definitely would vote in favor of this for now, at least.
Sorry, just which way your vote would be on the motion that's on before us now. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know where I'm at with this one. I think it's a little trickier than it seems just at first look. I think when we talk about our policy that we adopted related to proclamations and endorsement of outside organizations, I don't know if that was the intention of that policy when we approved it. I was feeling like at the time that it was more requests of the city declaring proclamations for a particular day, not so much support from an organization within the community. And so I see the rationale of not supporting the asks from the Legion at this particular time due to the Kerry project. But I think the bigger kind of picture of it is how can we support the Legion in a year that they're also trying to celebrate an anniversary, right, with their 100th anniversary. And then really we're tearing up the street in front of the Legion during that anniversary. So like, I think the way that we should be looking at this is how can we offer support in a way where they can still feel like the community values what they're doing, and not necessarily be exactly what they've requested for. So kind of that, just creating that culture of collaboration and cooperation amongst user groups in the city and our community. I think I would prefer to kind of go along the lines of doing something up by the park for, like, whether that's temporary or whether that's not, but just something to acknowledge them outside of the Kerry project, but that's still showing support for their 100th anniversary, or if they have alternate ideas, to be able to work with them or reach out to them.
Councillor Todd.
I agree with Councillor Drapla about the park. I think that if we could incorporate something with the cenotaph and the Legion would make perfect sense. That sidewalk from our sidewalk through the park, perhaps. I'm not sure if we'd have to deal with, I imagine Parks and Rec would be involved in that, but I can't see a lot of pushback. I understand the railway option where the tracks are, that parking lot, there'd be an issue there. I see that in that, but again, poor timing on not anyone's fault, but you can't be painting the sidewalk just to tear it up. So I also think that if they wanted to incorporate a vast field of poppies all through their parking lot, that might be something they wanted to look at as well. It's their property, they can do anything with it, or do something with their banner project in the property as well, perhaps. But I'm in favor of certainly taking this for advisement, but the Memorial Park is an option that we certainly have on the table.
Councillor Weiner.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I would be in support of something happening at the Memorial Park as well. I'd have no issues with the sidewalk, the crosswalk rather. And I think recognizing, especially near the Memorial Park, with children frequent that and the community frequents that, just the awareness, especially at the 100th anniversary, to me, it gives that community support and feel, especially the Legion, which is, nationally recognized. So,
Councillor Valstar.
Thank you very much. Yeah, definitely following up on what Councillor Drapla said about the proclamations and that kind of stuff. I definitely looked at that policy in a different lens than this way, especially like an organization from within, like from our community. With the Kerry project happening downtown, I totally understand all the moving parts down there. Like that makes sense. But I would definitely support something happening up at Memorial Park area. Like I don't feel right just denying it. I don't, it doesn't sit well with me and I don't like it. But my feeling on it is that, like, even if it's honorary or something that we can do to support Legion, especially on the 100th year, that kind of thing, right? I just don't feel right just saying no.
Councillor Todd.
I also failed to mention, I was thinking the other day that the way the world is right now, if we could have something up at the park where all the children are, just so that they could get in their brains about the horrors of war at an early age, perhaps we wouldn't be going through this in another generation. I mean, I know that's wishful thinking, but one can only hope.
Councillor Nietzsche.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I think for now, I think what we need to do is deny the request as it's written or as it came to a council. And then I think we should be referred or asked that the Legion refer the issue to Parks and Rec. If anything is going to happen on that property, it's a jointly owned function, jointly owned park. So I think that that's the right avenue for them to pursue. So my position is that we should support the recommendation as written, and then refer the Legion to basically make a presentation to Parks and Rec with an alternate approach.
Councillor Fowler.
Yes, sorry, not to prolong this. I just was thinking about a conference that I was at in Coquitlam where the volunteers had gone, and there was an area that was on a bit of a slope, much like in front of the pellet plant, a lawn. And the school kids had made up some stencils of poppies And at the end of September, they went in there and they sprayed the grass with a red paint that just washed away after a while, got mowed away, and they went and did it again. So it was all nice and bright and clear for November 11th. Maybe that's something that doesn't cost any money. It's volunteers that can do it. The area is already there. It might be something that would be a little bit more, what's the word I want, for the downtown area. And it would look great. It did look great. I've got pictures I'll bring next time. Thanks.
I had a few comments too, and I appreciate Councillor Droplin and Councillor Valstar's position, because that neutrality that we're trying to get also is an easy out, as opposed to we don't have a policy to allow things in. We have a policy to exclude things, and we need to have the ability to bring things in that we are supportive of. I think I like the idea of Memorial Park. I had discussions with Legion members regarding that. It does a couple of things. One, it gives them a permanent home to do such a thing, or up for discussion anyways. And with the Kerry project going on, we have all these banners downtown and crowding their parking lot. It can almost overwhelm the look of the project that we're going to be doing through the downtown area. And it might be nicer to be able to provide them with a spot with X number of places, and those are the ones that they get and they can continue to work with, not to expand the program, but to have their own spot. It also would encompass the Veterans Way idea that they have, just to put a sign up by the Memorial Walk there and not confuse renaming streets or the Google Maps issues and all those things that can go along with that. So I really think the park is a great idea to go up in that direction. And if we move forward to allowing that to occur, we also have a say in, once again, what we're doing in our downtown. If we move those signs out of there, then our revitalization plan can take full effect and not be drowned out by something else. Councillor Nietzsche, your point too, I think this needs to be referred to Parks and Rec as well. And I think that the Legion has to do a presentation to the Spalmsheen city staff and elected officials, and so they can weigh in on it as it's part of their property also, the park. I think we should support this as much as we can, but subject to the this outcome with Spalmsheen would be in the Parks and Rec, and then move forward with it. So Councillor Weiner.
Thank you, Your Worship. If I'm reading the recommendation correctly, that will be advising the Legion that we have denied the request, whereas their request actually references a lot of the things that we're saying we're potentially in support of, and we'd be sending it off to the Commission for discussion. I'm not sure that I would support saying that we've denied it when we may in fact be approving it later. So I'm thinking more to defeat the motion and refer it to Parks and Rec.
And Spalmsheen Township, correct? Okay, well, there is a motion, unless Councillor Nietzsche wants to withdraw the motion.
Well, just to speak to that issue, Your Worship, that isn't what the request was from Legion. The Legion was to erect banners and place crosswalks downtown and et cetera. So I think it is appropriate to deny the request, but refer the issue to Parks and Recreation. So I think we're still meeting both responses, because the issue here is that we're denying the request to insert the banners and stuff in the downtown and have the crosswalk downtown. If I recall correctly, that was what the request was.
And I seem to remember the request expanding to the park and doing the banners at the park and putting a crosswalk at the park. So I think there's obviously some confusion between staff. Councillor Weiner, can you address?
Yes, the recommendation in the letter from the Legion is that the installation of banners, Memorial Park, development of a permanent sign, Veterans Way, outline of the community. And so it mentions Memorial Park, installation of the commemorative crosswalk and entrance of Memorial Park leading to the park spaces, and ongoing collaboration with the Legion and Museum archives to maintain accurate veteran records.
Yeah, thanks for correcting that. I remember they did alter their request there, I think just like 10 minutes before the meeting. That's right. Thanks for reminding me.
Trevor.
Thank you, Worship. And just to confirm what was just confirmed, that if you recall with the presentation, the original request was for downtown, but then there was an option 2A and an option 2B with some other considerations, which are effectively the alternative resolutions as it relates to looking at Memorial Park and asking Spalmachine. Like I said, this wasn't brought forward formally in that regard. It was an initial conversation that I had with administration at Spalmachine to kind of gauge, because obviously because of the joint ownership of the service, trying to figure out what could be there. So I don't know that either one is right or wrong, in the sense that Armstrong is saying, even though we can't do it, we're prepared to move this over to the body that could make that decision. So that's, whether you adopt this and pass an alternate resolution that we can explain, or you defeat it and then just pass the 1/6 and 1/2 as the other.
Thank you. Councillor Nietzsche, what's your recommendation?
Yeah, I'm fine with withdrawing the resolution, and then we'll just instead propose an alternate resolution, which is to refer the issue to Parks and Recreation.
All right, then, all right, so now, so we're just gonna recommend that this gets forward to Parks and Recreation. And do we also need to say a presentation to SPAL Council? Does that need to be inclusive?
I would say it doesn't need to be in the motion. It could be a suggestion or an option, but maybe not in the motion. The motion kind of tells people what they have to do or what they can't do. So, yeah.
Okay, then moved by Councillor Todd, second by Councillor Wayner. And any further question on that? All those in favor? That'll be carried unanimously, I believe. Thanks for the lively discussion. Moving on to 5.2. The annual bylaw and dog control statistics. Mr. Smith, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this evening I'll be covering the year of 2025 and providing you an overview of both bylaw and dog control actions from this past year. No specific large concerns in that. I think the numbers are pretty respectful and consistent with past years. Overall, we had 293 bylaw compliance complaints, which is up a little bit from 2024, which we had 237. Most of the increase we saw within zoning and business licensing increases of a 23%. And I'll talk specifically a little bit about the details of that in a moment. Overall, under bylaws, we dealt with traffic complaints. 47 violations were issued for traffic complaints, and of those 47, 43 of them were tied to the interior provincial exhibition. So a fairly high large amount of percentage of tickets are issued during those 5 days, but nothing concerning. There's been significant work done over the past 5 years by the bylaw department and operations department to mitigate a number of the problematic areas. There's been additional painting done within areas, additional signage put up, so we are seeing the positive benefits and reductions of numbers of tickets being issued, as we want to ensure that people do come to the event, that they're not placing themselves in a position of being ticketed or towed. We only do tow when there is a safety concern. For example, when someone would be parked in front of a hydrant or completely impeding pedestrian passage or vehicle passage on a roadway. In October, we did do some targeting work with 30 businesses. There was a number of businesses that hadn't reapplied for their business licenses or notified us that they had gone out of business. So we had done some legwork and made contact with them. A number of them did apply for their business license and got that taken care of. So we've got a lot of that work done leading up going into this year as well to make sure that those licenses are fulfilled. A big component of that is that the fire department does use the business license as part of their projects that they work on, and going out and working with the businesses to ensure that they are meeting fire code and safety code requirements. So it's good that we do go out and do that legwork and ensure that those licenses are being purchased, as there is a valid reason for having those specific to public safety. In addition, out of that, there were some discussions that did happen with some businesses that have been utilizing the sidewalks without permits. So those were brought back in and brought up to compliance. The main issue around that is with liability and hazards for businesses that are using the sidewalk that may be slightly obstructing the sidewalk. So we want to just ensure that the businesses have proper insurance in place, that they do have the permission from the city to be there should there be an incident that does occur. In 2025, we saw a significant increase in zoning complaints. 107% seems very large, but overall, when you spread it out amongst the variety of complaints that we had, specifically you look at 4 fencing complaints, 4 non-permitted sheds, occupying of an RV beyond 10 days, some lighting requests or complaints, I should say, 5 shipping containers, and then 3 oversized vehicles. So when you break it down within those areas, there really isn't large amounts. What has happened and come out of that is the concern around the shipping containers in our community. The staff have been doing some targeted enforcement going into the end of last year and continuing on at this point. It's kind of been a bit of a trigger effect where we've dealt with a couple of complainants and they've kind of said, well, there's another one here, another one there. We did have some discussions with the fire department, and once again, that comes back to public safety, where we have found out through inspections that some of these shipping containers are storing fuel within them. So big concern is to get those taken care of and to get those out of the community, and that because they do, as we know as to what took place in Enderby, are a fairly large safety risk to have in our community, and that when they're not being effectively properly used, they're also not permitted under building codes. So we are working with a number of property owners on that currently right now. Dog control, we saw 87 complaints, up very, very slightly from 2024. Most of the complaints that we receive focus on barking, which is the most significant one that we saw. There was 16 complaints, there was 28 reported this past year, and then there was only 16 in 2021. So there's a little bit of a comparison there. So there's a recommendation for council that the report titled 2025 Annual Bylaw and Dog Control Statistics dated March 16th, 2026 from the Manager of Community Services be received for information.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Do we have a mover for that? Councillor Weiner, second Councillor Valstar. Were there any questions for Mr. Smith? Councillor Valstar.
It wasn't said in your report or anything, but we've been using DocuPet for a year now. Has it been, how's that worked out?
We are working on a different cycle with DocuPet that will be ending, or our first year will be ending the end of this month. So we will be bringing that information forward. DocuPet does their annual reports in March. So we'll be receiving that information fairly quickly. And then that information will be bring back to council, hopefully mid to late April.
Any further questions? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that will be passed unanimously. And Mr. Smith, you're up again for your UBCM Fire Smart Grant.
Thank you, Your Worship. So in front of you, there is a significant change of information. I did have a online meeting last week with UBCM, and Jonas informed me that they had actually indicated an incorrect amount. So we are actually eligible where it says 100,000. We're actually eligible for $200,000 per year. So that's a total of $400,000 over the 2-year period. As we are aware, last year we did complete our community wildfire resiliency plan. Within that plan, there was a number of recommendations that were brought forward to our community. Staff have reviewed those recommendations and reviewed them with our resiliency committee, and were agreed upon what was given to us and recommended. So that was brought forward to BC Wildfire as well as UBCM, that both have approved our resiliency plan. So that is the basis and the foundation of going forward and how we are going to use these funds. We will be applying for what's called an allocation-based application for grant funding, and that gives us some fairly large flexibilities. We will need to, are laying out a budget that will outline the projects and the work that we will be doing over the next 2 years. But it also allows us to work things a little bit. Should things change within our community, it will allow us to have a little bit of flexibility, as we were very lucky last year. It was very much, I would say, a downturn in fire risk and for our community. We're hoping this year goes the same. But what that did was the phone didn't ring for FireSmart, to be honest. We weren't heavily impacted. If it had been 2021, our staff would have been running wild, trying to just keep up with the daily phone calls that we would have received, but that didn't happen. So we are trying to prepare for the worst case scenario, but the documentation that was completed by Diamond Head Consulting and was looked at and agreed upon by BC Wildfire, we are considered a level 1 risk, which is low. We are not directly in the interface. The greatest risk for our community is Embercast, where we could have a wildfire that is within the township of Spalmsheen, within the regional district. And if we saw similar actions, fire behaviors that we saw in 2021, where we did see ash coming down, we did see burnt fiber coming down, there is a possibility of risk of that Embercast occurring. So we want to make sure that we're providing public education to the community, that we are providing opportunities for people to mitigate their properties, and that we are also taking opportunities to mitigate parts of the community that we are responsible for, such as our intake, such as our other utilities and infrastructure. So we have assurance that those types of infrastructure will be operational in the event of a wildfire. So going forward, we will be looking at partnering potentially with Okanagan Indian Band and with Splatson First Nation and working with their staff. I've had conversations with their staff, and they are supportive of working together. They have trained staff that have the ability to work with us. I think it'll be an excellent partnership, and that they would be able to help us to come in, work with a property owner, give them the recommendations that they need, and potentially we would be able to offer a minimal rebate program, as well as also a chipping program to those individuals that participate within the program. Let's make sure I don't. So outlined, there would be a requirement that we do have to have a FireSmart position. So the program does not speak to needing to have a full-time person. Last year, we were very lucky that we did have a full-time person, but the volume of work wasn't there. And then once again, going back to our community's risk, it doesn't justify at a level 1 having a full-time position. We're not dealing with some of the same things as I've previously said, that such as the township or Lumbee may be dealing with as to what we would have. Outreach and education is a prime area of focus for us. Interagency cooperation is key. Assessing our critical infrastructure and mitigating those risks that are there, working with homeowners and looking at our green spaces, dealing with vegetation management, and then ultimately looking at our planning for emergencies and planning even within our building and development area. So those would be looked at as the key focuses for the program.
So staff are looking for a recommendation from council that council authorizes the submission of the grant application for up to 400,000, $200,000 per year through the Union of British Columbia Municipalities 2026 Community Resiliency Investment Program to support eligible activities, including the continuation of the Community Fire Smart Program and the Fire Smart Coordinator position, contingent upon UBSAM's approval of the Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan, and that should the application be successful, council authorizes the administration to provide overall grant management.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Moved by Councillor Weiner, second by Councillor Drapala. Was there any further questions? Councillor Weiner?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Warren, for, I know you've been doing this off the side of your desk. It's kind of handed to you, and for all the work you've been putting into this to see this through. I think this is going to be a tremendous opportunity for the community to be able to, part of awareness and just being aware of what we can do. We have, we've seen even just last year when there was a fire in one of the fields and how that could impact our community and small things that we can do to offset that. So I really appreciate all the work that you put into this, and I think it'll be a great asset to our community.
Councillor Todd?
Would you be able to find $4,000 in there for some drought resistant plants and a fountain over on the corner?
Any further comments? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Councillor Nietzsche, I know you have some time constraints tonight. Do you get to get through the next one, or?
Your worship, I have 2 minutes and then I have to go to work, unfortunately.
Very good. Thank you, sir. All right, 5.4, the Benchmark Communities Policy Review. Mr. Martins.
Thank you, Worship. The report in front of you is driven from a council resolution that was passed in October. At that meeting, the subject of council remuneration for 2026 was discussed, and the procedure for determining council remuneration in that specific policy references what's called the benchmarking communities policy. So that policy has been in existence for a number of years now. It is not necessarily just for remuneration. That policy is designed to provide a tool for consistent, comparable analysis for anything that the city wants to compare with other communities. At the time when council remuneration was discussed, staff made a recommendation to deviate from the benchmarking policy due to some data statistical skewing that was happening when we were looking at the council remuneration for the communities that were determined following the policy. So as a result of that, council wanted to have a relook at the benchmarking policy to make it more useful, to make it more relevant going forward, so that we're not continuously looking at deviating from that policy. So that is why that's in front of you. The focus is not on council remuneration. It is on looking at making the policy work better for the city. So there are a number of options that are presented in front of you there. Option one is what staff is recommending. It is a slight amendment to the existing policy that has potentially large effects on what is being compared. So in the existing policy, essentially, there are 10 comparable municipalities in population to Armstrong that is chosen from the southern interior, with no more than 8 above and 2 below. And then data is obtained from those communities for whatever is being compared, and then the highest and lowest is removed, and we are left with 9, and then an average is calculated to yield the result. What option 1 does is it removes that requirement for 8 above and 2 below, and does a more 5 above and 5 below to make it more balanced. Potentially that removes a lot of the skewing from the analysis. Again, a very small amendment with potentially large changes. So had this specific methodology been used in October, it would have, the council remuneration would have been much closer to what was actually chosen by council. So it would have been more relevant at the time. Option 2 essentially is the same as option 1, but restricting the geographical area making it smaller so that it would be all of the Okanagan Valley, Columbia, Shuswap, and Thompson Nicola. So essentially what that would do is it would remove the outlying areas such as the Kootenays, the Fraser Valley, and the southern Caribou. And the advantage of this would be it would be possibly more relevant comparables, being that it's closer to home. The downside would be that you have a fewer number of communities to pick from, and potentially you would have some that are considerably larger than Armstrong and considerably smaller to get your 10 because it's a smaller sample that you're picking from. And that can create skewing all over again. So that kind of solution might not help really in the end at all. The third option is to look at comparable budgets. That can certainly have some advantages because every community is different. So comparing strictly by population in some cases might not be relevant. Budget might be more relevant. The downside, though, is getting the data. The provincial government does publish data that is submitted by every community, but that data is not available right away. It's a lengthy delay to get it, and then relevance becomes a problem. So out of the three options before you, staff is recommending option 1 going forward. And again, just this policy can be used for anything that we want to compare, whether it's revenue, fees, anything. So historically, it's been commonly used only for remuneration, but going forward, there's nothing stopping the city from using this for more in any kind of comparison. So the recommendation before you is to choose option 1. Thank you.
Councillor Drapla? Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Fowler? Ms. Weiss, do we need to have that read out in its entirety, or are we good with it?
I always prefer it to be read out in its entirety, just for the purpose of transparency. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You bet. All right, so we have a mover and a seconder. The option is when the 2026 council remuneration structure was evaluated and discussed, the policy requirement to limit.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I might interrupt.
Oh,
Just the motion at the top of the report, Your Worship.
that
Thank
council
you.
endorse option 1 as outlined in the benchmark community's policy review report dated March 16th, 2026 from the chief financial officer, and that staff bring forward an amended benchmark community's policy for approval at the next regular council meeting. That's a lot less reading. All right, so we have a mover and a seconder. We're all good with that. Was there any questions? Councillor Drapla?
Just one comment. Thank you, Mr. Martins, for doing that. I feel like that addresses my concern from our previous discussion in terms of the skewing of remuneration values.
And as per our conversation, I like the fact that we can use it for multiple things within the community. It's not based just on remuneration, but our water rates, our sewer rates, all those things that give us comparables that we can go to. So once again, it's a great asset. And no further questions. All those in favor? And that will be carried. And next step, 5.5, the community truck route recommendation, Ms. Cordell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Chantel, could you pull the map up for us? So we're here today to present the map that is the recommended truck route that came out of the truck route study. This map has basically been informed by the process that we went through that talked to some of the members of the trucking community, but also that reviewed the physical impediments to getting trucks around the community. It looked at some areas that the trucks have habitually taken because they feel safer or more comfortable navigating. And unfortunately is still recommending that the trucks go down Pleasant Valley Boulevard. Some of the key challenges that were identified was the corner of Mill Street and Wood Avenue, with the proximity of the building to the corner, the restrictive BC Hydro infrastructure, and the trucks coming up Wood basically have to be in the opposite lane to make the corner, but they can't see oncoming traffic. Mill Street and Patterson, it has such a small turning radius and it requires the trucks to cross the center line. We are going to see how this works over the next while because they're going to have to do that in the interim while the downtown is closed. And then Okanagan Street, and Pleasant Valley Boulevard North and Okanagan Street and Wood Avenue. So both of those are challenging. And through this process, there was a recommendation to remove some of the parking stalls on the west side of Okanagan, just to allow the road to shift over and the trucks to make those corners better. So what you see in front of you is a map that shows green for the preferred truck routes, yellow for the routes where trucks would do for secondary or local access to get to sort of the feeder roads in the residential neighborhoods, but not for through trips. And then you can see that we've got a consideration of coming in off the highway, coming in off Pleasant Valley, coming in at Otter, and moving through the community. So at this time, what we're asking, I guess the next step in the process would be to integrate this map into our bylaws and bring it forward to council for formal endorsement. So we thought we'd bring it to council to have this conversation, to set it out, and then if council's comfortable, we'll bring it forward for the next steps to move it into the actual process. Which leads us to a recommendation that council directs staff to amend the traffic and parking regulation bylaw number 1370, 1999, and that the municipal ticket information bylaw 1889, 2022, incorporating the community truck route map attached to the March 16th report by the manager of planning services.
Thank you, Ms. Cordell. Is there a mover for that recommendation? Councillor Valstar, and do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Todd. And now I'll open the floor for discussion. Councillor Todd.
If they're going to have to use those other roads anyway during the process, why don't we wait until we see how they do? I'm a big fan of the fact that nothing's impossible. So if they have to make that work, they're going to make that work. So can we wait till after that before we adopt this forever and ever?
Through your worship to Councillor Todd, we can do it at whatever time council determines.
Hey, go ahead.
I've never wanted giant trucks down that new road since we made the decision to put the new road in. We all have, well, nobody wants those giant double tractor things going down there at noon in the afternoon. And if we have to, we're gonna have to put some time constraints on them, in my opinion. You know, they have to go down at nighttime or something. We can't be having it in the middle of the day. But again, I hate discussing things to death, but I mean, I think we have to.
Councillor Fowler.
Thank you. I was thinking the same thing. If we're not in a panic to do this, I would prefer that we hold off on making the decision. We can't do anything about it until the downtown revite phase 1 is done. And doing it ahead of time of having the corners changed and the parking changed and everything doesn't make any sense right now when there's so many other things on the plate. It's not that maybe this isn't the one we're going to end up having to do anyways. We're kind of limited. We only have a few streets in town where trucks can go, but I'm afraid I'm just not ready to vote. Thank you.
Councillor Dropla.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's prudent to wait until after the revite is done to see how the navigation of that corner at Mill and Wood actually goes for the duration of that.
Councillor Weiner.
Thank you, Your Worship. I also agree. Waiting is probably a good idea just to see how it works. I do think there's potential options there with, I'm not sure where the frontage is for the fire hall and then I think the other business that's there as well, Hornby's. And then I'm also curious, given that we're looking to have, cyclists coming down Pleasant Valley South, how that's going to interact with, transport trucks and angled parking. So I have some serious concerns with using those two roads for commercial trucks at the moment.
Thank you. I do recall that some of the changes may have included a telephone pole being relocated or something. Am I at the right council on that one? It's just that there are some changes and structural changes that needed to be made. It doesn't mean that we can't be looking into those and being prepared or whatever. Because there's going to have to be done if the trucks end up having to go a different route anyway. Sorry about the microphone. It's kind of hard to talk over there when you're looking this way. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem trying to move forward with planning and trying to, thoroughly understand if there are any options and also actually having a look at the downtown new street and seeing how wide that is and the trouble we get into with parking semis when they unload and that kind of thing. There just seems to be some juggling going on still in my mind.
Thank you, Councillor Feller. I too have notes that I'm wondering if we can't look at engineering a fix to move on to Wood Avenue, have a look at it. I wholeheartedly do not support big trucks down there. In your next presentation, we talk about the downtown revitalization as a gathering area. We're going to have cyclists in there. We're trying to attract families. We don't want big trucks going down that street at any cost. So I don't know how we move forward with this. I'm certainly not in support, but I'd like to see something engineered to get another way around.
To your worship, I guess, not through your worship. I guess we definitely did consider that and we asked McElhaney to review it and the direction they gave us that it was very cost prohibitive for us to make engineering changes. We can continue to review that for sure as part of the process if that's the direction that we get. We also can wait and hold it for now.
Yeah, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I don't think you were talking about engineering changes on the Kerry project. I think you meant other engineering changes. around-
Engineering changes to allow truck movement through the city.
Yeah. And specifically, we're looking at the corner of Wood and Mill, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Yeah, that's the
to
one.
tackle, right? And then we, there may be some spaces. I think it needs to have a look at. Too many times we hear we can't do things and we don't physically go out and look and drive them, as we found out with the Rocky Mountain doubles, that it is safe to get through our community. So I'd like to spend some more time finding a way to keep traffic off PV personally. All right. Is there any other questions? There is a motion. Oh, Councillor Fowler?
I was just going to say, maybe all the councillors need to have an opportunity to get in one of those big trucks and see how they maneuver around the corners.
I'll help you in. So there is a motion. If there's no further question, I will call the question. All those in favor? And as I'm seeing none, that motion is defeated. And we will send this back to staff with Trevor.
Thank you, Worship. I think it'd be appropriate for a resolution, basically asking that this be brought back after the completion of the Pleasant Valley Boulevard North project with options for consideration. That way we can review the impacts of the intended changes that are coming when the project starts and look at this later in the fall.
That's a great resolution. Councillor Drapos. Thank you, Councillor Drapos. Seconded by Councillor Todd. Was there any discussion of that? I know Chantel has that written down furiously. Seeing none, then we will call the vote. All those in favor? And that will be carried unanimously. And moving on to, where are we? 5.6, correct? Ms. Cordell.
Thank you, Worship. This request is basically to ask council to consider giving us some budget to do a formal call to implement phase 1 of the wayfinding signage program. We, in the early, I guess in the late 2025, early 2026, have been going through a process to try and find a partner to slowly, in pieces, put a sign program in, thinking that we would do it in connection with each project. So one for the Highland Park tot lot, what we needed on downtown, on PV North. But when the prices came back, they actually seemed more doable to us than we had anticipated. So we're thinking of taking a slightly different approach and breaking it into a couple phases and doing a formal call to do phase 1 through our proper procurement processes, because we had done an informal requests where I reached out to 7 sign companies and we received bids. But in order to do that, we have to first have a budget to be able to put out a call for proposals. So you have some information on what the current kind of outcomes of that, I guess, of that procurement process was. What we were anticipating that would make sense for phase 1 comes to about 111,500, give or take. The next bids might not be exactly the same. It's hard to say if we go through a formal process. But based on the information we have currently, we're asking if you would consider setting up a budget of 111,500 from the roads and drainage reserve. I am in the process of working with the province to see if we can get the last bit of funding that we have in the carry process allocated to the wayfinding signs. They seemed really positive about it. I've also had a conversation with a grant funder who seemed really positive as well about getting some funding towards it. So we may be able to offset the budget impacts through grant funding, but I wouldn't want to count on that for right now. So my recommendation for this is that council authorize up to 111,500 from the roads and drainage reserve to be used to implement phase 1 of the wayfinding program.
Thank you, Ms. Cordon. Moved by Councillor Todd. Is there a seconder? Councillor Fowler, and now I'll open the floor to discussion. Councillor Weiner.
Thank you, Your Worship. I love the idea of adding signs to the community. I think it'll be a great addition to the community. My question is we just increased the rates for our taxes for the roads and drainage, and I'm curious what the impact might be to our funding and reserves if we were to use this out of the reserves.
Thank you. The estimated available money in the roads and drainage reserve is slightly increased from the last time I provided those estimates to council. So that would have been in December. We have approximately $86,000 more available for a variety of reasons. And that would certainly cover most of this. Plus there was some available money to begin with in that was not committed at this time.
Excellent. Thank you. So it sounds like it won't have a material impact on the reserves, and we might get some grants as well. So it might work out well. Thank you.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you, Worship. I wonder if we could get all the signs up on that screen for everybody, because I think they're really nice. I think they'll look great around town. There's a great collection of them in different shapes and different sizes, and I think there's 2 different lines of that. Yeah. So I think that there's places all over town for these, and I think they look really good, but all tied together really, really well. I like them.
Ms. Cordell, I might be getting a little into the weeds here, but could you tell me which signs you were sort of allotting and where you thought they might go?
Absolutely, Your Worship. So what I was thinking for phase 1 would be 2 of the primary welcome signs, which would go one on the highway near Tim Hortons that you would see if you were heading north. And then the other one would be where the off-ramp is off the highway heading south in that parcel that's BC Hydro kind of vacant in that area. Of course, we have to go through the process of permitting with MODI or MOT, I guess, to see where that takes us. Then secondary welcome signs, which would be one at PV Road where it comes into town near the high school. The other one would be on Salmon River Road where it enters town. Then the park identification signage for the Highland Park tot lot because we've just revitalized that. The directional signage would be directing people from Smith to downtown. I thought it was important to get that one on in the first phase. And then the information kiosk for on PV North as part of the revite, and it has a map of downtown with walking directions and distances. And then because it's cheaper to do them at the same time, I thought we should do 2 of those, one to put at the rail trail trailhead. So we wouldn't install it right at this time, but we would have it printed and ready to go just because it's cheaper to do them together. And that was what I had proposed for phase 1.
Thank you. I had another question, but I just lost my mind. So hopefully somebody else will ask them and it'll come back.
Thank you. I think this is a really good idea. I know it was the Wayfair signs, whatever, was one of the initial discussions when we had those first formative meetings with the stakeholders. And I think it's really important as we're doing our downtown that that people actually have kind of the basic of where to go and how to get there. And these are signs that we've already approved, are they not? Yes. So I'm 100% in favor of doing this for sure.
I know what it was. Sorry about that. The wording for the signs, I don't think we're prepared to move forward yet. So I don't know how much time you need. And we did get some pushback from some of the groups that we've been speaking to. So that needs to be a discussion.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The good thing about these signs is they could be somewhat modular. So if we had to change some of the wording later and add it, I was thinking that we would probably go forward with a more simple design. And then if we add more welcomes later, we could do that as well.
Thank you. Is there any further question? All right. We have a mover and seconder, so we'll call the vote on the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Wasn't that easy? 6.1, Ms. Weiss, you have a report for us.
Thank you, Your Worship. Staff has completed a review of our current Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy bylaw, FOIPA for short bylaw. It's a long one. And we're presenting a proposed replacement tonight that better aligns with current organizational practices. The key one being that the current bylaw appoints the Chief Administrative Officer as the FOI head. And in current practice, the corporate officer has been dealing with all of the matters. It's typical practice for the corporate officer to deal with information requests. Of course, our bylaw was adopted in 2015, and so a lot of staffing changes and no amendments to it. I've taken the liberty of retaining the CAO's responsibilities as a coordinator with the same powers as the corporate officer as the FOI information head. While I was at it, we wanted to update it to our current bylaw formatting, new templates, update legislative references, make sure they all align with the Act, the FOI Act, standardize the references, and then, of course, improve overall readability. So nothing too much in practice and not as exciting as signs, but definitely important on the legislative side of things. So as such, it's my recommendation that Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Bylaw number 1949, 2026 be given first, second, and third readings by title only.
Thank you. We have a mover, Councillor Valstar, seconded by Councillor Drapula. Was there any questions? Not seeing any, I will call the vote. All those in favor? And that will be carried unanimously. Next up is 7.1, correspondence. We received a letter from the BC Association of Farmers Markets looking for a letter of support and regarding their nutrition coupon program. I know we've supported this in the past. Sounds like once again, they're doing outstanding things and it really benefits our community. So I would be looking for a motion to authorize a letter of support to the BC Farmers Market, moved by Councillor Wayner, second by Councillor, who's that? Todd, thank you. Is there any questions? Councillor Drapla? Oh, great. If there's no questions, then I'll call the vote. All those in favor? That will be supported. And then under 7.2, I hope everybody had the opportunity to see from the Office of the Mayor of the City of Prince George, the petition to the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada. Get my right paper here. Essentially, where the province of British Columbia has announced the expansion of provincial oh, that's the wrong one. Actually, I don't have the letter with me. My apologies. Anyways, they're looking for social justice, social reform. They want some tighter reforms, and I can't believe I didn't print that letter off. We have it handy. Oh, great. So there you go. Did council have the opportunity to read the letter previously in our correspondence? All right, so I'm looking for a motion that the the city of Armstrong support this initiative moving forward and sign the petition as the city as a whole. Would there be a mover to that, or do you need a couple of minutes? We moved then by Councillor Todd, thank you. Second by Councillor Valstar. Was there any further questions? So this is regarding just signing the position as a municipality. Seeing no questions, I'll call the question. Everybody in favor? Carried unanimously. And next, we're moving down to 8.1. How many pages? Councilor Drappa?
Appropriate time, I can give an update on the chamber.
Perfect, thank you.
I don't attend the chamber meetings once a month, and I don't always give an update on what's going on. They're always super busy and hard at work, but spring is a time where they're getting into a lot of planning. And so I just wanted to highlight a few things. The first thing, I guess, is just that they're looking forward to connecting with the city now that the contractor is finalized for the Kerry project, and coming up with a communication strategy or being a partner in communication with the city to help let the businesses know what's going on, and to remind residents and visitors that the businesses are open during construction. So we don't want people to see the construction and think that the businesses aren't open on that side of the street. The Big Cheese is coming up, and that's kind of a signature event from the chamber that they do every spring. And so it highlights some regional food and agriculture while bringing together producers, chefs, buyers, and visitors to the community. And so if you haven't been before, there's a Saturday public market, they have the ambassadors dinner, and then there's an industry day on the Friday as well. So that's on March 27th and 28th coming up. It's an exciting time. And they're also in the final stages of planning and getting sponsorships for this season's lineup for Music in the Park. And so that's something that the community enjoys every year, and organized by the chamber. They've been able to get New Horizons grant for some more renovations to the Oddfellows Hall. So we can expect to see some of that happening coming up. And so it's exciting to see them continue to make improvements with that hall, and the chamber, which is really one of the places that visitors see, and it represents Armstrong when they're coming into town. So that's exciting there. And I believe that they're getting ready to come at some point to Joint Council to make a presentation on some visitor center stats and an emergency communications plan and the marketing and promotion initiatives that they're doing in the communities. So busy stuff, and more information that we can look forward to hearing soon from them.
Thank you, Councillor Drappa. Councillor Fowler?
The only thing I was going to mention was we didn't have as many people out for coffee and tea with the mayor at council. And did we put out a nudge or a reminder for the one for tomorrow? Yeah, we did.
We did.
Right. And so just if you have people phoning you and have questions and concerns, or just want to meet us with the elections coming up, it's a really good time to come out and have tea or coffee.
Councillor Valstar?
Thank you very much. Just a quick Parks and Rec update. We had a meeting today, so I have not prepared a report, so I'm just going to kind of go over the highlights here. We just did a bit of a budget swap. Instead of going for the Hassan floor protection and the chiller upgrade, we ended up the foreman ended up finding a way to make the chiller work a little bit longer so that we could put money towards pool grates, because they're becoming a bit of a safety concern, as well as the pool change room floor. So we did a bit of that. It looks like General Manager Weeb is taking the reins pretty good down there, and she's doing a pretty good assessment and getting the monthly activities and everything like that going pretty smooth. It feels like it's been pretty seamless so far, actually. And then we did have a request from Enderby Minor Baseball requesting some ball diamonds, more ball diamonds in our communities. And so that's right now we're not exactly taking that on, but we're kind of hitting it back to them so that they can maybe come up with some more creative strategies to kind of help us maybe help that a little bit longer, because it's a long-standing pastime that isn't exactly going away. And lastly, yeah, and then we helped the IPE with a letter of support for a grant that was for Support BC Destinations. So we supported that. We did that through email, but yeah, we ended up taking care of that and talking about it today. And yeah, that was Parks and Rec.
Thanks, Councillor Bellstar. Anything else? If not, I just had two more things that I wanted to add. The new council at Splatcene has reached out and want to have a meeting with us, which is a very positive step. Chantel's working with them to try to find us a date. And one other thing for those members that are attending Silga next month, there's a report that we received from Peachland, the city of Peachland. So they're going through a huge project. I believe the government has now decided to charge municipalities PST on projects. And with their $14 million project moving forward, it equals a bill of about $235,000 unfunded dollars that the municipalities have zero way to collect. So that'll go right on the old tax dollar. So there's a letter of support and a petition to ask the government to change that. So anybody attending Silga hopefully will support that resolution. And that's all I had. So at this time, we'd like to move to an in-camera section. Council proceed in camera pursuant to section 90, subsection 1G of the community charter, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. And we will move out of this meeting at 6:23 p.m. Do we have a motion for that? Councillor Todd, second Councillor Ballstar. All those in favor? And we'll move to in camera. Thanks, everybody.